Good morning and welcome back to our Sunday school class. We're going to go ahead and get into some more miracles. The ones we're going to talk about today are the miracles of supply. At the beginning of our Sunday school, I don't know how long ago, we had already talked about some of the ones like feeding the 5,000, feeding the 4,000. We talked about Jesus, his first miracle, which was turning the water into wine. And so we're just going to finish up with the rest of those and see how time does to us, and then possibly go into some other ones because there's not that many of them left. So the first one we're going to talk about is all of them have to do with fish. They really do. They all have to do with fish. Something with a fish. So we're going to go and look at Peter's, where talk about Peter and when he cast the net. Luke 5:1-11, and then John 6:5-14.
And it came to pass that, as the people pressed upon him to hear the word of God, he stood by the lake of Gennesaret, and saw two ships standing by the lake, but the fishermen were gone out of them, and were washing their nets. And he entered into one of the ships, which was Simon's, and prayed him that he would thrust out a little from the land. And he sat down and taught the people out of the ship. Now when he had left speaking, he said unto Simon, Launch out into the deep, and let down your nets for a draught. And Simon answering said unto him, Master, we have toiled all the night, and have taken nothing. Nevertheless, at thy word I will let down the net. And when they had this done, they enclosed a great multitude of fishes, and their net brake. And they beckoned unto their partners which were in the other ship, that they should come and help them. And they came and filled both the ships, so that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord. For he was astonished, and all that were with him, at the draught of the fishes which they had taken. And so was also James and John, the sons of Zebedee, which were partners with Simon. And Jesus said unto Simon, Fear not, from henceforth thou shalt catch men. And when they had brought their ships to land, they forsook all, and followed him.
John.
Where is it?
John 6:5-14.
That's the 5 loaves and 2 fishes.
Don't look at the wrong one.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah,
I looked for it, but couldn't find it. The first one, right?
Oh, it said, that's why. It said compared to. That's why I have that.
Oh, okay.
It said it's comparing it to the 5 loaves. Yeah, feeding the 5,000. That's what it was. I'm like, hold up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it says compare. Okay, that's what it was. So that was my fault.
You're good.
I even said that, and I still, yeah. Because it says compare to John, but then it says verses 12-17.
Yeah, that's totally different.
That is real different. Okay.
Compared to this story that
That's what
has
it
nothing
says.
to do with it.
Yeah, that's what it said. Compare. So I was like, well,
Look,
let's
this
compare
has
it, but then
fish in
realized
it
it's not.
too.
Alright, so
That's what it was. 5 loaves, 2 fishes.
Yeah.
Not a boat full of fish.
Compared to this one, Jesus couldn't even get like 6 fish. He could only do 5 fish, and then he broke it up instead of getting a bunch of fish.
Okay, so we see that Jesus saw the boat. Of course, he knew who the owners were. At first, it didn't say who they were, but then it said it was Simon's, and I believe that it was Simon Peter. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we just know him as Peter, not Simon Peter. So it's like Simon Peter, his first and his last name. Is Peter his last name?
well, I think
It's a nickname. So it'd be
Peter
like
was the
people
name
call
given to him. by
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was.
Which he chose to
Call
go
me
by
Bill
later
William.
on.
Bill William.
No, William Bill.
It'll be William Bill.
Yeah.
Well,
That's actually not bad. I wouldn't mind being called that.
William Bill.
William Bill. I like Bill.
Better.
Bill William feels kind
I'm
of
good.
funny.
But so it started off as Jesus just sitting there teaching, the multitude, but he got in the boat. It's like when you're, I don't know, when you're on the ocean, it's almost like you can see everything. So he asked him just to launch it back a little bit, so he can see.
We'll probably hear better because it would amplify the sound.
Yeah, that's true too.
Sound carries better over water.
Yes, it really does.
And he could see everyone.
And so he told. Obviously, he knew that they've already been trying to catch fish because, of course, they're fishermen. And he told them to, cast your nets. And the first thing Peter says is, I'm trying to look for it.
Master.
Yeah. Master, we have toiled all the night and have taken nothing. First thing he says.
Nevertheless. It's so funny. I feel like that really encapsulates the way that Peter was toward Jesus. He's like, well, I'm just saying, I think I know what I'm doing.
Whatever.
But we'll just try it.
Yes.
I love doing group projects with people like that. It's so nice.
Well, it's probably because he had, Peter had to listen to what he was talking about the whole time because he's in his boat, and then he was like, oh, this guy's pretty smart, and then all of a sudden he's like, lines, go put your nets out, and it's like, hey, we just worked all night and haven't got anything. Well, I guess this guy's smart. I guess I might as well try it. And he goes, nevertheless, the thy word, I guess, here, put the stupid nets here. And put it in there. Oh my goodness, there's so many fish.
Well, Peter, who is a fisherman, he know. Typically, they know what they're doing,
right?
And so I think that's why he said it like that. But then he was like, nevertheless, at thy word, I will let down the net.
They know the right times to fish because you don't want to fish at whatever time of day. That's why they fish all night.
Yeah.
Is this?
Well, you would think they know what they're doing, but they fished all night and didn't get anything. So maybe they've been doing that a long time.
Is this before he called them though?
I think so.
I believe it's.
I was just looking at that.
I think it is.
Well, he healed Peter's mother-in-law before that.
But it could be.
So I think maybe he was.
But was he? Because
he doesn't choose the disciples. He doesn't call Levi until later. Yeah. Okay. So Peter must have known him, and then
maybe throughout the city.
Yeah, because he entered into Simon's house. Because maybe they met before that, and then
Yeah, it's a different Simon.
No, it's Simon Peter. And when they had brought their ships to land, they forsook all and followed him. So maybe they followed him, but they weren't called as his official disciples.
Yeah, so probably there are people that follow.
Well, because
Jesus chooses 12 disciples. And when it was day, he called unto him his disciples, and of them he chose 12, whom he also named apostles. Simon, whom he also named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon called Zealot, I don't know. And Judas the brother of James, Judas Iscariot, was also a traitor. Spoilers.
Yeah, major spoiler. There's nothing. Right there, there it is. It's like when you read a history book and you see Benedict Arnold, you're like, oh, that guy. I know that guy. And then you always know that he was the traitor guy. What they don't tell you about that story is he actually chose his disciples based on The Bachelor.
No, he didn't.
It was like a show.
No, it was not.
Where Simon's over here like
some people was like.
I remember he had my nets put out. I couldn't believe it. I got a bunch of fish. We obviously are very close.
Oh my goodness.
But some people was trying to figure out though, because you have a Peter and Andrew, you have all these American names, but where were they?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, where did that, like, what were their, were their names different? But in English, it was Peter.
I mean, I think maybe we think of those as American names because of, because these are the Americanized and English versions of whatever their names were
in Hebrew.
Petros, I think, is what Peter
Yeah.
was Petros.
So, probably Andros and Jamos. John
James.
Juan.
Juan.
Philippos.
No.
Oh no, his was
No.
Philippus, right?
Yeah, Philippus.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah,
There were like two Judas. If
Bartholomew
somebody had
was-
called that
no,
better,
Bartholomew
then they
was
wouldn't have to say Judas and Judas. Like, Judas.
Well,
oh,
they
not
said
you.
Judas Iscariot, though.
Yeah. Judas is scary.
Yeah, something. Okay, so I was just looking at
They
this.
always were saying stuff like that. Like, Judas is scary.
But I was just thinking about that wasn't like the time because of what he says after. So he cast the net over, and it was too heavy. It was full of fish, too heavy for him, and they know what they did just the night before, and they didn't catch anything. But because they listened to Jesus, it was too heavy. And so heavy that he had to get James and John to help him, which were his partners also.
Yeah.
And so there was two ships. Now, when I think of a ship, though, I'm thinking like the ones that you go on a cruise. I'm thinking that kind of ship. But when you really think about it, they were just like little boats.
Yeah. I've seen some recreations of what they think the boats look like, and they were just, they were kind of flat.
Yeah.
Like more flat bottomed, and because they were just sailing on a lake. It's not like there was
Ship. Yeah.
Like, you know,
that's
You always
usually
see like
the
the
ship.
long boats and like it looks like
What's it?
Viking ships in the
I
pictures.
mean, kind of, yeah. Because that's what they knew how to build, and then the ends would curve up a little bit. You know, they'd have some lip on the edge.
Well, and some of the other ones they built too, you were able to go and sleep in them.
Yeah.
So they weren't like, when you really think of a ship, you think of, well, look.
The Titanic.
Yeah. That's just
But
kinda how
these
they
are the
were.
ones. These are the ones that they just
There's
go.
no way you fit 12 people in
Well, this
Well, no,
it
the
could have
one
been
that
a
they
different
sailed
one.
on before was probably different.
there.
The-
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, because remember Jesus was in the.
Do you think Peter was on his feet saying, holding a fish, saying, "I am a sinful man"?
Have
All
this
the rest
fish.
of the disciples
No,
are
that's
holding
that's
fish.
him
in the-
accepting the fish from the Bachelor. It's like
Stop.
discipleship.
Stop it.
It's just like instead of roses, it's fish.
We hadn't
he's
called them
holding
yet,
fish.
so that what do you?
I'm a sinful man. Have a fish.
And
He
this,
just gave him like a
although
multitude of
in
fishes.
this picture it shows them all on the same boat, but it said boats,
Yeah, 'cause
and
they
there was
had to bring
only
the other
3 of
boat.
them. Who are these other people?
It looks like those old pictures that you see where they have
They
way too
beckoned
many
unto their
people on there.
partners, which were in the
It's
other.
like that
ship.
scene from whatever where the guy dies and he like has his hand up and he's like.
Oh, you know what? This is a
and
different
it's
one.
like-
That's why it's
Oh.
the other fish story. That's why it's like that.
Wait, which
Oh.
one?
I can't
This
think
is
of.
the
I
Hall
can't think
of
of
Fish.
that where you have the giant.
There's another one.
The Hall of
Oh,
Fish.
it's the other one.
Yes.
Oh.
The Hall of
But
Fish.
okay, so while we're doing that, go to John 21.
Yeah.
It's talking about the Hall of Fish. But the Hall.
I mean, at least it's not closing.
That's true. But you said he
That's
didn't have
probably
one
what threw me
anymore.
off.
21:6. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's
I can't think
it's
of
just
it.
different.
I can't think of any of these without thinking of the scene. Like whenever I see this, I see the scene from Finding Nemo where all the fish get caught in the net, and like it's all crazy because they're all in the net all of a sudden. That's what I think of every time when there's a bunch of fish. And we're like, oh, that's crazy. It's weird.
All right, so let's read John's account then too, because I'm like that didn't make any sense that it had 2 accounts but it didn't show.
There were together Simon Peter and Thomas called Didymus and Nathanael of Cana in Galilee and the sons of Zebedee and 2 other of his disciples. Simon Peter
That's not
saith
it.
unto them, I go a fishing. They say unto him, we also go with thee.
Sorry.
The way that they write this, I go a
I
fishing.
love that.
We
I
also
wanna
go
see
with
that.
thee. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that
I
night
go
they
a
walked.
driving.
But when the morning was now come, Jesus stood on the shore, but the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. Then Jesus said unto them, Children, have ye any meat? They answered him, No. And he said unto them, Cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. Therefore that disciple whom Jesus loved said unto Peter, It is the Lord. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girt his fisher's coat unto him, for he was naked. and cast himself into
John
the
didn't need to
sea.
say that.
No,
John,
it's not John. It's not John. It's the disciple who Jesus
no,
loved.
John didn't.
John.
No. I'm saying John didn't need to write that. Why did you have to write that?
I know.
Because he was saying he would have had to
Peter
say,
was naked.
"Oh, that part." I thought you were talking about when he said John. When he said the disciple that Jesus
I was saying
loved.
he girded his fishing coat upon. He didn't need to write that though. He just was doing
It's
it.
John and Peter we're talking
It's
about.
And the other,
Lord.
I know, they've always been kind of like,
Yes. Okay.
Did you forget about the argument where they were arguing about who's going to
There's-
sit on the right hand of
Yeah.
Jesus?
That was the Sons of
Or-
Zebedee, wasn't it? I
Yeah,
thought that was James
John.
and Well, John, I thought it's not Peter and John though. Usually Peter and John have a little bit of a thing
I
going.
thought Peter was arguing.
I thought it was.
I thought it was like
They
about all
almost
this
all
stuff.
look the same.
Anyway,
It's not all of them.
moving on.
Okay.
And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with fishes. Wait, so they came in the little ship and were just like dragging
like an absurdly large net
I
with like a tiny
can't.
boat and like 12 of them in there, or 11, I guess.
It's like a Christian's burden in Pilgrim's Progress.
You're just like Peter's swimming like crazy and just pans over and it's this tiny boat with a huge
And they're
net.
just like carrying on.
Yeah, like Santa Claus with a giant bag.
Yeah, agreed. And soon then, as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid thereon, and bread. Jesus saith unto them, Bring of the fish which ye have now caught. Simon Peter went up, and drew the net to land full of great fishes, 153. And for all there were so many, yet was not the net broken. Did they count them all? Jesus
Yeah,
saith unto
sure.
them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples durst ask him, Who art thou? Knowing that it was the Lord. Jesus then cometh and taketh bread and giveth them, and fish likewise. This is now the third time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples after
After
that he
he
was
was risen from the dead. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why it's different. I was like, why is that?
None of the
So-
disciples durst ask him.
Yeah, it's.
Okay, so that was a different one. This one was after.
Well, it's funny because the net broke the last time this happened or whatever. There's one that was just so full the net broke. And I guess Jesus was like, I don't need to do that because I don't fish get out. So he had to fix it. He's like, alright, this time the net's not even going to break.
Well, it did.
Plus,
Well, like,
they already
on-
had fish there. That's what's funny. He didn't even need the fish.
No.
All this fish
He
died.
was just seeing.
I bet there's not a fish in the Sea of Galilee anymore because.
Well, they're still
Yeah,
they're still
sure.
fishermen, so
Yeah, I
you know.
mean,
Yeah.
but you
Why
know,
would they
needed,
stay
like,
there fishing all night if they didn't need the fish? Because that was their living, you know.
Because they probably ate
153.
and sold.
Yeah, that's true.
How? Well, when do you get tired of eating fish though?
Yes.
I know.
Got fish
I
soup.
don't like fish
They
at all.
need
I
fish.
hate
That's
fish.
when you
stew.
make a machine
Fish.
that turns water into food, and then it gets launched into the sky, and it starts raining
Right. I knew where that was going.
Yeah.
But really, they probably ate fish a lot,
I
but
know.
they probably
Fish
dried,
and bread.
dried it out though. Right.
Cans of sardines.
Bread.
But they probably also sold the fish so they can get other things to eat.
Mhm.
Also.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a different story. Of course,
Hall
it's still
of
A lot of
Fish.
similarities.
You know
Yes,
what's funny
it
is
did.
this is kind of what we're doing because all these stories about fish. It's like a Hall of Fame of
Book
fish
for fish.
miracles.
Book for
So
fish,
it's
yeah.
The Hall of Fish.
right.
Yeah, we shouldn't have said miracle supply. We should have
She
said
said
the Hall of Fish.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that as the title, the Hall of Fish part. It doesn't need a part.
No, it's
Hall
all
of
this
Fish.
is just Hall of Fish.
Hall of Fish.
Oh.
Like there were so many similarities.
Yes, I think that's why I was looking at the boat. Of course, it's the same ones that were in Luke, the story, but they weren't his disciples yet
Mhm.
in Luke. Whereas in John, they were his disciples. But what caught me off though is that they didn't know that it was Jesus. But didn't he? It said, and where did it go?
It was just
This
some
is now the
guy
third
yelling at
time.
him. He was like on the side, like, "Hey,
But they
boys,
should've-
you got anything
Wouldn't
to
you?
eat?"
Wouldn't you recognize his voice though?
He probably
This is the
disguised
third
it.
Well,
time that Jesus showed himself to his disciples.
Well, remember the road to Emmaus?
Yes.
He hid himself from them until he
Well,
prayed.
and they
then-
probably they were like what 200 cubits from shore, so they
Well,
probably
that's
had
like-
no idea who he was from that distance. They just heard a
How
guy.
many feet
standing
is that? Like probably like 300 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I mean that makes. Well, try calling somebody
Yeah.
when you're in the ocean and you're on shore.
Right. Well,
You're
he's like,
"What?
yeah, it's very
What?"
hard to hear, and he's just all he said was, "Hey boys, you got anything? You caught anything?" And like that was what everyone said when they see somebody who's fishing. I don't think anyone has ever
What'd you
not
catch
said
it?
that. Yeah, you catch anything?
Yeah,
And they're
correct.
coming back like all the disciples are crying in the boat, and they obviously didn't. And that's what everybody says. And then John was like, "Oh, I know that guy." And then he goes, "It's the Lord." And then Peter's like, "Oh."
The disciple that Jesus loved.
Yeah.
But-
you might as well put in parentheses wink wink next to it. That's me.
So there's some similarities, but then there's some differences because they weren't disciples in Luke, but they're disciples in John.
And then
But-
in Luke, he just said, launch out into the deep and let down your nets for a draw. But in this one, he specifically said, cast the net on the right side of the ship.
Yeah.
You know, John probably, when he originally wrote this book, he probably had put the only disciple Jesus loved and then had to change it.
Somebody else read it for him and
Right.
wrote them all out.
Peter was like, hey, we need to do
Yes,
something.
yes,
The
yes.
one disciple Jesus loved.
The most.
Yeah. The most
Um,
loved of Jesus' disciples.
But you see too that in John that they don't question about throwing their nets, or did they? Cast the net. No,
No, they cast their fork.
they cast their forward.
Involuntary
Because they're like, oh,
Forward,
well,
let's see.
we've heard that before.
Yeah,
So go ahead and try
it's
it
the
again.
number 2 thing that everyone says when you go fishing. You catch anything? When you say no, they're like, why don't you try a different bait or something like that? And
True.
yeah, so there's like,
What lure
Well-
are you using?
yeah.
Well, notice too, they're his disciples now,
Yeah.
so they are really paying close
They're-
attention to what he's saying to them.
They're already probably like doing the deja vu thing just from them not catching anything all night. They're like, oh, I've been in this
Like,
spot
you know, the
before.
same theme song
Yes.
starts playing as the first time.
Right,
You know,
like probably 6 hours into the night, they're like, oh, you know what? Probably this is going to be because, you know, Jesus is going to give us a bunch of fish. Let's hope. And then they start,
like,
Jesus,
no.
give us
Wait,
some
I have an
fish.
idea. So, like, the theme music starts playing in the background, and then Peter's, like, messing with the net, and then he looks up. Like, he
And the
looks
light
up.
shines.
Yeah, and then the light shines from behind him, and then he looks to the shore, and then, you know, like, they do,
Yes.
like, the whole montage.
Yes.
No,
yes,
they
yes,
have
yes,
to have
yes.
a fishing all night montage for
And
that.
then while he's standing there, then there's like open sky to his left, and then they flash like the scene where like they first
Oh,
did
yeah.
the miraculous
Yes.
fish catch thing.
Yes.
And right here's like,
And a
Lord,
heart-
I'm a sinful man. You know, like
a
these
heart,
little
a
flashbacks.
heart beating in the background.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, think about it too. Like, when you really think about it, Simon Peter, before, he said, I'm a sinful man. And put it together. So, when you're not saved, and the Lord does something for you, it's almost a guilt thing. You know, I'm not where I need to be. I'm not who I'm supposed to be,
Right.
but the Lord has blessed me with this. Whereas now, Simon Peter, saved, the Lord just told him to do something. Knowing that what he's telling me to do is the right thing, cast his net, and it's a difference there from when you're saved and when you're not saved. There's a difference. There's no guilt when you're saved when the Lord blesses you, because you know that you've been doing what you're supposed to do, been pleasing to Him. Whereas when you're not, you feel like, I don't deserve this.
Right.
I'm not even in the place where I need to be with the Lord, yet He's giving me these things. Make that be a realization to you that get in the place where when the Lord does bless you, you're thankful and not guilty.
That's a really good way to put that.
Okay.
One more
Well,
kind
that's
of funny
miracle.
thing here. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, Gertis stood and did cast himself into the sea.
yeah.
It doesn't say he swam.
No, it's like,
He's just like,
yeah, you just, okay.
okay, I'm out.
That's what I was
Bye.
thinking. It's like a dog when you say fetch and then he zooms. It's like when, as soon as he heard, all he had to do was hear it's the Lord.
And he's like, okay.
Also, I don't know why was Peter fishing naked? Surely it
Was he really though?
I don't think he was
Because-
naked.
they had,
I
like,
hope not.
when you look, okay, what's that picture?
They
That
have.
you
makes
look
those
at this-
pictures. That makes those
Well, that
Bible
picture does
pictures
it.
even more awkward.
Yeah, it really does.
I don't think because they like had even more.
They never showed
they
that.
had way more of a standard of modesty in the public back then than.
Well, they were fishermen.
You
They
know,
never show that They never show that post or pre-fishing coat. So they always have it where he's already like, I'm a sinful. Like, yeah, here's a fish, and then like,
But what was that really saying?
yeah.
Because I don't think he was.
I don't think
Okay,
he was naked.
his
They
friends
wore
would
several
not be.
layers of
Yes,
clothing.
his friends would not be on that boat.
Sure,
with
he
him.
may have had a loincloth on.
Because I'm sure they have like
Yes.
they have like probably a thinner like shorter tunic that goes underneath their.
That's
regular
probably what he
tunic.
was in.
Just,
That's what I'm
no,
thinking.
just no. It's got to be he had his loincloth on, and then Jesus said something. He looked like he was wearing a big diaper, and then he's like, "Oh, you better put on this because I look like I'm wearing a diaper." And he put it on, and then he went in the sea.
Anyway, what's
I
the
don't
next
think.
miracle?
Otherwise, why would they? Why would
No,
they say
I
that?
don't-
They would just say he put on his fisher's coat. There's no reason to say he's naked. He probably
This
just
is
didn't have a
John.
shirt.
John is like next level petty. He referred to himself as the disciple whom Jesus loved like
Yes.
1,000 times in
Yes.
his own book.
And he didn't even have.
So petty.
Oh,
He
and he
did
said
not-
that he won the race to the tomb.
Yes.
Yeah.
So petty.
He did not have to put that Peter was naked.
Yeah.
No.
I
Like, what
know.
was the detail for it?
He also put
Because he and
that
then
Peter was the one who cut off the
That
disciples'
was
ear.
ear.
I mean, the
and
servant's
he,
ear.
Yes,
he,
yes.
he probably also in between.
Because in the
put
other
that
books, it's
he-
not mentioned.
No, but he
He said
said
one of the
Peter.
disciples.
Yeah, he
He calling
probably
him
also said that. He probably also said that he wasn't. He was like Peter was naked, but I was fully clothed. Peter-
No, but the disciple whom Jesus loved, on the other hand, was fully
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so look at
And in his
let's
right mind.
let's look at this last fish one. That would be Matthew 17.
Is there one of John? Yeah, there's 5. Right?
No, we already did John.
And we've already gone through the.
Oh, we did do the loaves and fishes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did all those already.
Where is that at again?
Page-
Matthew 17, 27.
24.
Yeah, well,
Starts at 24.
yeah. All right, Bill, it's your turn.
Oh, I got
Yeah,
it
I've read
there.
like 2 of them.
Yeah. Oh, it's because I'm trying to find a place Georgia.
I've been here.
I know. Where's it start? 24.
24.
And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received.
I said this is why we don't let you read. And when they were come to Capernaum.
And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, Doth not your master pay tribute? He saith, Yes. And when he was come into the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, What thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter saith unto him, Of strangers. Jesus saith unto him, Then are the children free. Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea and cast a hook, and take up the fish that first cometh up, and when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money. That take and give unto them for me and thee. That's where the story ends, folks. That's it.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's short.
I feel like
Who
there
knows
was
what
a
happened
different
after that?
version.
This was, right?
No one
Well, no,
heard
I'm
from
sure,
Peter
I'm
again.
sure Peter went and did what Jesus told him to.
No,
Well, you
no.
know how they give, like, scripture references?
But yeah.
So, in this one, it has...
I feel like
This is
there's a
talking
bunch of
about
stories with
I.
Peter that could be started with that. What thinkest thou, Simon?
S, what? Mark 9,
I think it's
33.
interesting that Jesus was literally the one who named him Peter, and when he was upset with him, I have a hiccup, sorry. He called him Simon.
No, it's Capernaum.
Oh, just talking about Capernaum.
Yeah.
Okay.
They mentioned the house. It's like the big house, but for the disciples. And when he came to Capernaum and being in the house, he asked them, "What was it that ye disputed among yourselves by the way?"
2.
but they held their peace, for by the way they had disputed among themselves who should be the greatest. What? Dispute?
The disciples are just
I don't understand. I mean,
children.
it's
Yeah.
a miracle because Jesus told him to go cast the hook
And he found
And
it.
the
What are you
first
talking
fish that
about
came
on the way
up
here?
was going to have the money in it. But there's no other.
Yeah.
That may be the best story. That's so funny.
Detail. There's no other like.
It's still interesting though.
Yeah.
Because it shows how, because Jesus wasn't about to make Peter a liar.
True.
Until
they had the house, so yeah, it was
he
like
wasn't going to make Peter a liar until he denied him.
it was like the apartment for them, where they were all in the same apartment, all roomies in Capernaum, where they had the house,
Dude.
But you still on the other one.
What? No, it's the same
We're
thing.
back.
It says
No,
the house.
No, it was just talking about Capernaum.
Yeah,
it was just-
that's on the other one.
Yeah. Okay. But
They were like,
you
hey,
see
it's
that
the same house.
Peter didn't say anything.
Yeah.
He just went and did what he was told. So,
For once.
Yeah.
but I don't understand. You don't hear a whole bunch about that one either.
No, you don't.
No.
But I'm wondering, like, how did this fish fit the coin? Like, how big is this fish? Because he didn't, it wasn't inside the fish.
No,
it was just, like,
it was
in the
in
mouth.
his mouth. Yeah, it was like a little coin. It was like it was like.
Well,
for two
it says-
people. It had. Yeah, it was like a dime probably, somewhere maybe a nickel.
A half an ounce of silver.
Oh, okay. So that's not a lot.
What is that?
So
Oh,
it's the
I was
the.
about to say I missed that.
It's the footnotes, yeah.
Half of an ounce of silver.
Well, no,
That's
because
not fine.
it's talking about it. It's been in value 15 pence, or a stater. It is half an ounce of silver in value. What? Half an ounce.
We're at a time.
So we just finished finished off
Hall
talking
of
about
Fish.
the Hall of Fish, and next week we'll get into some other ones that have. Hopefully, it'll be ones that. I guess we'll just go. Because we did
Straight
healing.
down.
Well, I skipped the exercise of the devils, raising the dead.
You didn't do that many raising the dead.
No, I didn't at all. I didn't do any.
No,
Yeah,
I said
so we
you
have
didn't.
plenty.
So we have plenty still to talk about.
Lots.
Maybe, yeah, there's a bunch. There's still a whole, like, even talk about his divinity, like miracles and stuff like that. And so, we hope you enjoyed that wonderful Sunday school class, as there's a lot of laughter. And, hope you enjoyed the Hall of Fish, because that was the last 3 on the list. Also, hope that you got something out of it. Knowing that even if it's just obeying that one time to what the Lord tells you to do, the blessing that comes afterwards. And you heard, as in when the disciples cast their nets, in one story the net broke because there were so many fish. In the other story, they filled 2 boats of fish.
Boats started to sink.
Yes, because they were so full. So, in this lesson, let's listen. And listen, and then be obedient to what the Lord wants us to do. It's a struggle, but we can do it. We hope that you join us in our Sunday morning worship service, and have a great rest of your day.